Hello, thank you for attending the last talk of the day. The problem that we want to help solve is that many crimes such as sexual assault and corruption are underreported. And they're underreported because reporting is difficult. It can be isolating or re-traumatizing. People may be afraid of harassment or of not being believed. And in all of these cases, it's easier to report if there are corroborators, if there are other people who want to make the same allegation. And it's likely that people will have corroborators because, for instance, 90% of sexual assaults are performed by repeat offenders, which means that there are multiple victims who want to file the same allegation. Similarly, in an institutional setting, many people may be aware of corruption, but they want to find other people who are willing to stick their neck out and fight the corruption. So keeping all of these things in mind, people have proposed this notion of allegation escrows, where the user submits an allegation to this authority, and the authority guarantees that it will only reveal this allegation as part of a group of size at least T, where T is a reveal threshold. And this gives us two things. First, if the allegation is ever revealed, it is guaranteed to be part of a bigger group, which means that nobody has to be the first one to stick their neck out. And second, the record of the allegation is created early on, which serves as evidence in court. And this is found to be useful in practice. For instance, Project Callisto is an allegation escrow for sexual assault allegations. And they found that in campuses with this escrow deployed, students are 6 times more likely to report and 3 times more likely to seek medical and emotional support. Of the records that have been entered into the system, 10 to 15% have already been matched. The challenge, though, is that Callisto is a single trusted party. And it has all the secrets in plain text, and it must be trusted to keep it secure. And there are many motivated and influential adversaries. For instance, the perpetrators themselves may try to suppress the allegation or go after the victim for reporting the crime. There could be journalists who are looking for stories against influential people, and they may not handle this information appropriately. To solve this problem, we want to take this single trusted party, and we want to split the trust. And we guarantee that the secrets are safe as long as a majority of the escrows are honest. Now, why is this a reasonable assumption? To make it a reasonable assumption, we want to make sure that the escrows are geographically distributed and come from a large number of entities so that no one person is powerful enough to corrupt all of them. So we've been saying that an allegation will be revealed when it has sufficiently many corroborators. So let's look at a few examples. Here's an alleger A who's accusing Bob, and they have a reveal threshold of 2. For the time being, the system should keep this secret. When another allegation of a similar kind comes in, these 2 allegations can be revealed. And both of the reveal thresholds have already been met. Now, we take this a step forward in this paper, and we allow each alleger to pick their own reveal thresholds. So for instance, alleger B could have a threshold of 3 instead. So before going further with this example, let's take a look at the formal definition of what we want. A set of allegations S should be revealed if and only if all of the allegations in it have a threshold less than or equal to its size. So for instance, here neither allegation should be revealed. Because if both of the allegations are revealed, then B is going to be unhappy because its threshold has not been met. If only A's allegation is revealed, then it's the only one and it does not have a corroborator. If a third allegation comes in, alleger B is fine with it because its threshold has been met, but alleger C will not be OK with it because its threshold is 5 and it has not been met. Now, if a fourth allegation comes in with a threshold of 3, then these 3 allegations can be revealed because together all of their thresholds have been met. However, the allegation of alleger C should still not be revealed because its threshold has not been met. So this is the sort of property that we are going for in this system. Now, the system also needs to figure out when 2 allegations match. And for this, it turns out that a fairly simple method is effective. We just have a formatted string which contains the identity of the person being accused and the nature of the crime. And the system just looks to see if these strings are equal or not. For the nature of the crime, we just select from a drop-down list, as shown. And the identity of the accused can also be selected from a drop-down list. And this works in an institutional setting where there are a finite number of people that you may want to accuse. If that doesn't work, then people can also look at submit a number of unique identifiers such as email address and phone number, and as long as any one of these fields match, we say that the allegations match. And there has been some work on cryptographic solutions to this problem. For instance, the Project Callisto people themselves have proposed a solution, but it has a much weaker threat model and supports many attacks that we discuss in the paper. A very recent work called Who2 was published in POPETS last year. While it is secure, it's not scalable. If there are n allegations already there in the system, then the cost to file a new one is order n MPC computations. So which means the cost to file n total allegations is order n squared. For us, it's order 1 per allegation. In addition, it also forces every alleger to use the same reveal threshold. And this limits flexibility, because if the adversary is powerful, then we want to use a higher threshold to have more safety. If they're not, then we want to use a lower threshold to maximize the probability of a match. And this decision is best made by each individual alleger according to their level of comfort. So we allow different people to use different thresholds. So why is scalability important? It's not that we are looking for blazing fast speeds. However, if it's very inefficient, as in generic MPC and Who2, then it is susceptible to a crippling DOS attack, where I can just file so many allegations into the system that I render it completely useless. So which means if I'm a perpetrator, I'll just make the system slow down to the point it can no longer be used. We, again, provide order 1 cost for filing an allegation, and we also provide this bounded MPC property, which means that every registered user can only create a bounded number of multi-party computation operations. Scalability also allows for a larger number of people to use the system, and that means that they're more likely to find a match. And finally, allegations are expected to be rare events, which means they have timing side channels. And if a system is scalable, then we can support cover traffic. So that's why we want scalability. We also want real identities. We cannot allow anonymous identities, because, for instance, Alice says that her allegation should be revealed only if and only if 3 other people file the same allegation. Now, that's great if the 3 people are real people. However, if they're just anonymous identities, then there is no guarantee that those anonymous identities will actually show up. So Alice's allegation has been revealed, but she has nothing to show for it. Even worse, these anonymous allegations could be filed by the adversaries with the specific intent of revealing Alice's allegation. And in this case, the adversary faces no consequences because their real identity is not there. Use of real identities will act as a deterrent for the adversary to file fake allegations. And this also reflects the fact that the primary source of authenticity for an allegation is the person backing it. To support real identities, when an alleger submits an allegation, they have to submit a proof of real-world identity. And while I won't go into the protocol in this talk, here are the properties it provides. First, it does not reveal the identity to any minority of escrows, which means it does not reveal the identity to the adversary. However, a majority of the escrows can determine the real identity whenever they want. So how do they use it? So the identity is revealed when the allegation's threshold has been met, and it is to be revealed. So that provides accountability. However, until then, it remains hidden. So just as a quick recap, our threat model was that the adversary can corrupt a minority of the escrows and an arbitrary number of the users. In addition to the proof of identity, they also secret share the metadata. This is the string that the escrows compare to see which allegations match which others. Secret sharing, so just as a quick primer on secret sharing, in this case, a majority of escrows must cooperate to reveal what the metadata is, but no minority of escrows have any information about what it is. So at initialization, the escrows secret share among themselves a random S. Nobody knows S, but all the escrows have shares of S. And then when an allegation comes in, the escrows cooperate to compute the pseudorandom function of the metadata keyed with S. They compute this with secure multi-party computation, wherein nobody learns either M or S, but all the escrows learn the PRF. Why is this useful? So assume for a moment that everybody had a reveal threshold of just 2. Then they get shares of the metadata. Nobody can actually see this. The escrows just have the shares. All of these allegations have a threshold of 2, say. And then they compute the PRF, which all the escrows can see. At this point, the PRFs look random and do not reveal any information. They're just random strings, and nobody knows S. However, if there are two matching allegations, then the PRFs will also be the same because the strings are identical. In this case, the escrows can see that those PRFs match, and now they know that there are two allegations against Bob, and this can be revealed. And this is efficient because to handle one allegation, the escrows only need to compute one PRF, which is not very expensive, and it's scalable. So why did we have to do this? So the key property that we're looking for is that the adversary cannot compare two allegations on its own, because it requires the honest escrow to be able to compute the PRF, which means that in order to see if two allegations are equal, the adversary must contact one of the honest escrows and authenticate to it. And this forces the adversary to leave a paper trail with their real identity. And this acts as a deterrent. If the adversary could have compared two allegations on its own, then it could just see, is there an allegation against Bob in the system? And from that, it could use out-of-band information to figure out who may have filed the allegation. So we want to prevent that attack. Now, this works if everybody had a threshold of 2. If people had larger thresholds, then for instance, Alice could be wondering if there is an allegation against her. So what she does is she files a probe allegation with a threshold of 100. Now, this does not act as a deterrent for Alice because the reveal threshold is so high that it's not likely to be revealed. It's also not likely to cause any other allegation against Alice to be revealed. However, it does cause the PRF to be computed, which all the escrows can see. So every escrow knows that these two allegations match. So if Alice now corrupts just one escrow, then she knows that there was one allegation against her. She still doesn't know who filed the allegation or what the allegation contains, but she may be able to infer that from other information. To prevent this sort of an attack, we introduce a bucketing protocol where we divide allegations into buckets based on their threshold. Each bucket has associated with it a secret shared key, S. And whenever an allegation is put inside a bucket, the escrows compute a pseudorandom function with that key. What does this mean? Well, if two allegations share a bucket, then the escrows can compare the PRFs to see if the allegations are equal or not. If two allegations do not share a bucket, then the allegations cannot compare those two, the escrows cannot compare those two allegations at all. Now, I'm going to describe an invariant. So this invariant is that an allegation is in the bucket I if I more allegations will cause it to be revealed. And that's the invariant we maintain to decide which allegation to put in which bucket. This immediately, of course, implies that everything in bucket 0 is immediately revealed. That's what bucket 0 means. And this also gives us one key property that prevents probing attacks. If two allegations have ever been compared, they will either be revealed together or not at all. What this gives us is that if a probe allegation ever matches an honest allegation, which is the probing attack we're trying to prevent, then it's just as likely to be revealed as the honest one, because they'll be either revealed together or not at all. And second, it causes the honest allegation to now wait for one less allegation, which means it's more likely to be revealed. So for instance, if Alice was trying to figure out if there is an allegation against her, she has now made that allegation more likely to be revealed. So where it could have remained escrowed forever and Alice could have gotten away with the crime, now the allegation will get revealed, which is bad for Alice. So I'm not going to describe the bucketing protocol itself. Rather, I'll illustrate it with an example. So say an allegation comes in with threshold of 6. It should go into bucket 5 because it is waiting for 5 more allegations. Another allegation comes in with threshold 4, and that goes into bucket 3. Now, these two allegations cannot be compared to each other because they're not in the same bucket. Their PRFs are computed with different keys, and they're not comparable. A third allegation comes in, again goes into bucket 3, and these two can be compared because their PRFs are computed on the same key. So if they match, their PRFs would actually be equal. And now these coalesce into one collection, which is waiting for the same number of allegations. In fact, it's waiting for 2 more allegations, so it moves down to bucket 2. What this means is that the escrows have computed the PRFs for both the buckets. Another allegation comes in. Again, these can be compared, so the collection increases to expands to include that allegation as well, and it moves down to bucket 0. Again, another allegation comes in. It can be compared, so it moves down to bucket 0. At this point, these 4 allegations can be revealed because all of their thresholds have been met. And we know this because they reached bucket 0. However, this allegation with threshold 6 is not revealed because its threshold has not been met. In fact, it hasn't even been compared with any other allegation. And that's how we avoid the probing attack. So it moves up one bucket to catch any other allegations with threshold equals 4. We prove in the paper that this bucketing protocol is actually correct. And it's also efficient. In the anamortized sense, the total cost for handling an allegation is 2 PRF computations in an amortized sense. We prove the security of this protocol end-to-end in the universally composable model. I'll refer you to the paper for the proof. We implemented this system. And before a user can file allegations, they have to register. And we can register a couple of users per second, depending on the number of escrows. These experiments were done when the escrows were running on AWS servers all over the world, chosen to maximize geographical extent. We can handle a few allegations per minute for filing. So to summarize, the alleger sends shares of the metadata, proof of their identity, and shares of any other free-form text of their allegation. They also send a threshold T. And the escrows guarantee that they will reveal the identity and the text of the allegation only as part of a group of size at least T. And with that, I'll conclude my talk.
Question?
Hi, I'm Barry Lebo from FutureWay. Are you familiar with verified assertions?
No.
It's some work it's been done in web payment communities and things like that, and W3C is looking at this. But it's the idea that you have an assertion that's made that's been confirmed that's, for instance, if you're trying to buy wine online, you may need an assertion that someone has checked your ID and you are of legal drinking age, but the assertion does not reveal any more information like what your actual age is, only the fact that it meets certain criteria. It seems to me that that would be very helpful with something like this, where, for example, if you wanted to make sure that he wasn't making a complaint using a bogus ID, that someone had checked his ID and confirmed that he is legitimate, but has not revealed his identity. So just something to throw into that mix. And of course, as with everything, verified identities can use blockchains as part of their structure as well.
So one of the, and certainly, I'll refer you to the paper for how we actually do this. I didn't describe that method in the talk. So one property that you want is not only that the identity is verified, but also that the escrows have the shares to that identity so that they can reveal it when the allegation is revealed. So that's another property that you want with this system.
So just quick clarification. Murat Kantarcıoğlu, University of Texas at Dallas. Once allegation is made, also you secretly share the identity of the person who made the allegation, and
in a manner, yes.
And then you disclose once this PRF checks announced. So you are assuming still. Like you assume half of them honest when you do the secret sharing. Okay.
A small question, probably actually, I suspect it's my mistake or misunderstanding, but the threshold, as you show it here, so it's just, I mean, what prevents somebody from just claiming the threshold was different? How is it linked with all the proof of identity and so on?
So when they file an allegation, they file it using their public key, which we assume exists. And you can make the alleger sign their allegation. So they can't, the escrows have a proof that the alleger actually filed this allegation. Additionally, it's of, so is that your
so it does expose the fact that you've filed some allegations, so this is not hidden?
It does not, because the public key is, at the time of filing of the allegation, the public key is not linked to the user. It's linked to the user after the allegation is revealed. I did not discuss the identity verification protocol in this talk.
But then if I take your allegation, I take all the share and everything, I just copy them, and I sign it with a different public keys, and this would be, and I change the threshold, and it would be exposed, it just would be linked to a different identity, correct?
So first, you cannot copy all the shares. because all the shares of an honest alleger because only the escrows have them.
Right, I'm talking, of course, about a bad escrow. Of course, I'm talking about the best.
So
bad
a bad escrow, there are only minority of them, and they don't really have enough shares to reconstruct the secret, if that's what you're.
Okay, so each escrow just get his own share,
Right.
and therefore they cannot collect the entire set.
Exactly.
Got it.
Unless a majority are
Thank you.
corrupted.
Thank you.
One question. I don't want to keep holding other people for long. Thank you. Very nice talk. I wonder if any system like this has been deployed. If not, what do you think are next steps to?
Okay.
Or
Thank you for that
deploy
question. I had to remove that slide toward the end. So the untrusted version of the system has been deployed. We currently do not fully support withdrawing and modifying allegations. So anyway, so we want to deploy the system. And the primary challenge we see is that it's one thing to prove the security of the protocol cryptographically, but having an actually secure implementation is really difficult. There's no point encrypting secrets if a buffer overflow attack is going to reveal the secrets. So we'll deploy this once we are confident we have an actually secure implementation.
Have you thought of abuse of the system, right? The potential.
Right. So there is no cryptographic solution to that. So that is a problem that can only be solved by the courts. Like the court has to see if you're talking about fake allegations?
Something like that, yeah, for example.
Yeah, that's something that can only be solved by the court. We do not determine whether an allegation is correct or not. We just make sure that the allegations go to court, and then it's up to them. But real identities help with avoiding abuse.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think there is one more question, but I really don't want to hold everybody, right? But maybe you can just come over and talk to us, right? Okay? Yeah. Okay, so thanks a lot.